original HaireBag suspension. What happens without HaireBag suspension? The truck displays less than adequate axle isolation due to low air transfer from front to rear airbags. This also produces uneven loading on wheels and does not allow the suspension to overcome torsional effects of the chassis. The truck is slipping in this situation because of uneven ground pressure created by the low air transfer from front to rear airbags. Height control on the rear axle is letting air be dumped out of the system. Here is another example. Also, when travelling over mounds, the low air transfer has a tendency to lift the rear axle off the ground. Here is another example. The gauges are piped directly to the airbags and show pressure fluctuation at 10 km an hour on quarry haul roads. While reversing loaded up a steep incline, the vehicle clearly loses traction, making it unable to negotiate the stockpile without diffs or crosslocks. Travelling at 80 km an hour, the gauges display pressure intensification in airbags. Now, with HaireBag suspension. The truck now has better axle isolation because height control has been fitted to the rocker arm between the front and rear axles. The high airflow from front to rear airbags overrides the torsional effect the chassis has on the suspension. With even air pressure in all airbags at all times, the rear axle gains full travel. The even pressure means no loss of traction on undulating surfaces or large humps. This gauge has been fitted for 25,000 kilometres with no undue effect on the needle from vibration. The constant air pressure in all 4 airbags delivers no major fluctuation of the needle while travelling over rough terrain. This is a clear example of the suspension load sharing. The vehicle is able to negotiate sharp corners without changing camber and while pulling a trailer up a steep incline. Reversing up stockpile does not require diff or cross locks. Loads can be tipped without deflating airbags. No axle skip when negotiating corners. The blue rod is the rocker arm. The height control is attached to the middle of the rocker between diffs. This is the fitting that allows high controlled airflow. This airline is for the gauge on the dashboard. And here is the positioning of the HaireBag suspension on chassis. More benefits include driving over curbs without body. The Mac is using original suspension and diff lock to negotiate a bricky sandpit. The International is equipped with HaireBag suspension and without the use of diff or cross locks handles the bricky sandpit with ease. The Mac is stopped by the ramp. The International is able to get its front onto the top level of the pit, only being stopped by the lip. The rocker system has maintained even ground pressure in all positions. The airbags do not charge or discharge with axle movement. The International still has original air pressure, even though the rear bag is fully extended and the front bag is on stops. The Mac airbag is completely deflated due to axle position and height control in deflate setting. The Mac is unsuccessful exiting the pit without diff locks. However, with diff and cross locks is successful. The International drives straight out because of the even ground pressure. And does exactly the same loaded. The HaireBag Suspension enhances vehicle performance, increases tyre life by up to 20% and will revolutionise standard airbag suspension in the future. The original HaireBag Suspension. It works.